Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, where we have a brick and mortar store in Tucson, Arizona. We also run a little coin show called the Tucson Invitational Coin and Currency Expo, TucsonCoinshow.com. If the website is down, just go ahead and visit again sometime later. Thanks for being with us. And we're going to interpret some stuff. We're going to show you some stuff and have some fun with a group of half dollars that were an original roll of 1948 Denver Franklin half dollars, found originally from the First Wisconsin National Bank of Milwaukee. And what's fun about this little group here is just some of the things that we can learn about coins, coin grading, and historical items, because we can look at some things that we can interpret as original, not original on coins and coin grading. And we can talk about some other unnecessary conversational items, which we'll get to in a second. First of all, there's so many things to learn from this little experiment. One is that y'all don't send your coins in to get graded, because you never know how they're going to come back. The cost involved is oftentimes not really worth it. And at the same time, let's talk about these 1948 Denver Mint coins, which, if they come back MS64 or MS65, they're MS64 coins are not really worth getting graded. There's probably only about a $30 or $40 coin, so probably not worth the squeeze, if you will. This one came back as 65 FBL. So FBL is the full bell line. The other thing to understand about these coins is that there's not a big price difference on the 1948 Denver Mint coins from plain minted regular strikes to full bell lines, because these coins were struck really well. So whereas an MS64 coin might be 30 or 40 bucks, an MS65 $70 range, $80 range, the full bell line version of the MS64 coins are probably about double what the non-full bell lines, but the MS65 coins probably only 50% more, and the MS66 coins also probably less than 50% more. So this coin was one of the end coins, and one of the things that's interesting is you don't really know what you're going to get when you go through the coins as far as overall toning goes. But you have the coin is blast white on one side, toned over on the other side. This is a nice original looking coin, original looking color and toning. So you can actually see a little bit of how, if paper is folded over the edge, it starts to create line work. So you can see kind of like a X. I have it at an X angle right now, right over his chin. That's from paper being folded over one edge and then over another edge. And so when you see that on a coin, that is something that you can interpret, generally speaking, as paper folds with those straight lines and originality when it comes to the overall coin. What I did do on this series is I only ended up sending in 9 coins, because there were not all the coins were attractive, but most of them were attractive. For those of you who are used to my channel, you may already know that I consider myself completely unable to grade Buffalo nickels. But the weirdest thing is the coin that I have the most consistency with the grading companies. So maybe I'm right, maybe they're right, maybe we're just all right. We're all right. MS65 FBL. Franklin halves, I tend to have a lot of consistency with the grading services, with how I interpret the grade and how they interpret the grade. So I was mostly just pulled out the coins that I thought were full bell line, and the coins that I thought would grade around 65. Right, so right now we've got 265 FBLs coming at you. And something else to learn from this batch, as we take a closer look at Benny Boy here, is that we've got, look at a couple little extra marks there in the field. This one they called a 64 FBL. Is that this group was originally from the upper Midwest, and it was from the Denver Mint. Some of y'all, if you're from the East Coast, consider the Denver Mint to be out west. And of course, if you're on the West Coast, you consider the Denver Mint to be the Midwest. So not too surprising that you saw Denver Mint coins in the upper Midwest, which is where I believe, especially back in the 40s, the upper Midwest got most of their coins from the Denver Mint. The West Coast, San Francisco, and the East Coast. The East Coast got all of those Philly Mint coins. So you can see the extra little hit marks on this guy. Putting that into the 4 column. Here we've got another one to look at that overall the fields on all of these were really great. And so, I was actually hoping to get mostly 5s and maybe a shot 6. So, but when they're all together, it gives them a chance to be a little more picky, right? So you've got the shaving mark here on Ben Franklin on this coin. Another nice full bell lines. The full bell lines, which I didn't explain, is the bottom set of bell lines. It has to do with the strike of a coin. There are certain coins in this series that are almost impossible to get with a full bell line, the 53S. I think there's only a handful of coins known. So another MS64. I'm going to go ahead and I was keeping this guy out to the side just because he was the coin that I knew was the opening coin. Next up, here's the coin that I think this might have been at the other end of the roll. Taking a look at it, the bottom end of the roll here. You've got that heavy tone to it that some people like, some people don't. Some people just favor originality to it. But all these coins, the other thing to think about is originality. The other thing to learn from this group is when you look at that satiny finish, I am starting to refer sometimes to the overall quality of the surface of a coin as kind of like the original skin on the coin. And it's kind of hard to describe otherwise. This one is fascinating because this guy here came back at 64 and not a full bell line. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And some of you guys who collect these full bell lines, you can tell me right away what you think on this guy. I'll try to get a good shot. My interpretation of what they see, and it's very hard to film. There's lots of things kind of going over the lines. I consider the strike to still be honestly there, but there are some hits and stuff that go over the line. So you guys tell me if there's a hit that interrupts the line versus a strike that interrupts the line, do you believe that that should still be a full bell line or not? So that one we've got just the 64 straight graded, no full bell line. Franklin's kind of a fun series to collect. I believe the total number of Franklins is 35, and it's the type of coin that you can actually still buy raw out in the marketplace and not spend a ton of money on them. Most of the coins are going to be nice raw unk coins, $15 to $25 range, not worried about FBL designation. If you just want nice raw coins, your exceptions are going to be some of those early San Francisco Mint coins that, well, the 49s, DNS, and then your 52S is always considered to be more expensive. That's kind of like that $60 to $75 coin in a nice BU. BU is a term for brilliant uncirculated, oftentimes standing for a coin that's going to be in that 63 to 64 grade as we understand it today. Most of these coins had a pretty white finish to them. You see this one finally has a little bit of tone to it, which maybe you would have expected a lot more of environmental changes being in an old wrapper and roller for 75 years. That's an estimate. I didn't do any math. 65 FBL. So we've got a couple 65s. And you'll see next up this 48D. They'll also mostly blast white. This one came back at 64. So you're going to see elements of this coin that are going to be you'll probably be able to find the difference here after a while. Things that you start to get nitpicky on. Things that maybe you look at and you say, okay, I'm going to knock that a grade. And maybe you can get your eye trained and adjusted to being picky. Looking for scratches and marks that you find, less than favorable. So this has a lot of little marks right here on the bell. Maybe a little bit of Beauty and the Beast there. 1948, Denver. I've trained myself to just repeat the date of the coin so I don't get people too angry at me. Man, talk about bowing down to the people. Maybe I need better boundaries. Maybe I need better belt lines for myself. So I don't know if any of these coins to you guys, you felt like maybe could have got a 6. I'm kind of a pretty big fan of this one here. You still have some marks to it, but the fields are just super clean. On Franklin's, oftentimes that highest point can get some of the most activity. So you got the head line, the hairline right there. Nobody cared about Ben Franklin's receding hairline. I don't know why. Maybe we should all be bold like that guy. 65 FBL. And last but not least, I got one more with some tone to it that ended up getting some tone on it, almost like the end coins have, but just on the one side here. So in this experiment with 9 different really choice Franklins coming out of a roll, what we ended up with was 64s, 464s, 365s, a 64 Philly, a 65 FBL, and so we've got 1 non-FBL in the group, and then we've got 4 each on the 65s and the 64s. And I think the one thing that I'll say on this group here is that the toned coins, kind of mixed result. You know, you got a 5 on that, and then you got a 4 on this guy, and then you've got the non-FBL on the other one. And so I think, obviously, toning, I think, can sometimes hide problems, but sometimes also I think that they can detract from the overall eye appeal, and sometimes they can affect the grade negatively. That varies a lot from coin to coin, and that's over all coin series. So toning, originality people like, but also sometimes the toning is in the way. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.